11 years ago, when I, 32 female, found out I was pregnant with my daughter, my husband and I were both initially very excited, and he proposed to me. However, soon after, he told me that his company investors weren't crazy about us getting married. He said that they have known his son, 29 male, for a long time, and thought our daughter or I, also becoming part owner, would not be as safe a bet as my stepson inheriting the company alone. I ended up going to work with my husband, and after working a 10-hour day with him, I realized how unglamorous running things was. So I told him to please not leave me in charge of any of the company, and he assured me that's fine, and he won't. My husband said he could talk about our daughter getting a very small share, but he gave off the impression that even that was a deal breaker, considering the fact that we might have more kids. I really wanted to put this behind us and get married, so I agreed to stipulations that only my stepson and his kids would inherit the company, not any of my kids. My daughter is wise beyond her years, and recently has been shadowing her half-brother and dad when they work. The other day, she found out her half-brother was going to do her dad's work in a couple years, and from there, found out that she was never going to be equal to her half-brother in her dad's company. She came to me in a huff, and said she heard that she's not allowed to get her dad's company, even though her brother is, and said it must be because we have different moms. I tried to tell her that her dad and I agreed that running a company was no fun, and that it would be better to leave the work to her half-brother, so that lets her be home more. My daughter said she likes the topics her dad and brother discuss at work, and said she can be just as good a boss as her half-brother. She asked if this decision could be changed, and I said technically, but we don't want to change stuff and make others upset, and that I wasn't going to try to reverse the decision. She started complaining and crying that I wasn't giving her a chance, and asked why I wasn't fighting for her. That made me furious, because I made the decision I did 11 years ago to ensure my daughter would live in a home with both parents under the same roof. I told her to stop being ungrateful, and that her dad and I have been generous to her, and she won't ever have to worry about money. She said she didn't care about that. She wanted to work and be equal to her brother. I was exasperated and told her to go to her room and come back when she appreciates all we've spoiled her with, and how I would have loved to have had the life she enjoys now when I was growing up. Am I the a-hole? Yes, the a-hole. This whole situation is screwed up. Your daughter is always going to think that her dad cares about her brother more than her. And it's also screwed up that you married someone with a kid 3 years younger than you. Yes, the a-hole. She has a genuine interest and clearly cares about it. You made a rash decision 11 years ago, and you need to revisit it. Your kid is worth taking this seriously. Yes, the a-hole. Just because things weren't fun for you doesn't mean you can keep your daughter from working in the company. All you're really doing is teaching her sexist values. She's right to be angry at you. Most parents in your position would say, "You think you got what it takes? Okay, if you can do such and such tasks, I'll give you more responsibility." You really handled the situation badly. My husband and I have a 5-year-old daughter and 10-month-old son. Being that we're both active duty, we've needed a nanny since the birth of our youngest. From the first couple weeks of his life to about a 6-month mark, we had a less than great experience with the young woman we initially hired to watch our kids. After going back and forth with her for weeks about payment and scheduling, she quit, and we had to scramble to find a new sitter. Luckily, our neighbors have a 20-year-old daughter that was more than willing to help us. My kids are in love with this girl, and I'd be lying if I said she wasn't a blessing to our family. I wanted someone who would love my kids as if they were her own, and she does that and then some. She's always more than willing to help out, even when I don't ask. During a conversation that we had recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that I don't produce much milk, which forces me to rely on donor milk to feed my son. She was very sympathetic and inquisitive about the situation, and I was happy to answer all of her questions while simultaneously thinking nothing of it. I have nanny cameras set up in the living room and in my bedroom that my husband and I can access at any time when we're not home, but never feel compelled to check for the simple fact that I trust my nanny. However, I was having a rough day yesterday and wanted to see what the little ones were up to, so I decided to pop in. My nanny was sitting on my bed rocking my son and attempting to breastfeed him. I almost felt sick. It seemed so inappropriate. I decided to wait until I got home to confront her about it, and when I asked, she was incredibly apologetic. She said she wanted to help me because of my milk production issues and never meant any harm. I'm torn because she's a great girl and my kids are so well taken care of, but now I'm concerned about what other things I've missed. I don't have many other options as far as nannies go, but I'm thinking about letting her go because of this. Would I be the a-hole? Edit. Currently going through my recordings from the past few weeks, and I'm noticing a trend. She unplugs the camera in my bedroom when she goes to put him down for naps, and plugs it back in when she leaves. I'm feeling pretty uneasy, and I plan on having a conversation with her tomorrow morning when she comes by. Edit 2. After reviewing our recordings, this wasn't the first time she attempted to breastfeed my son, among a few other questionable things. Closing my daughter in the pantry, leaving my son in the backyard unattended, etc. Acting on a suggestion given to me by a few comments, I went through my room to see if anything was missing. A couple of my son's first outfits, first onesie, first Halloween costume, were gone, as well as a small blanket that belonged to my daughter, and a box of old baby clothes I was going to donate. These were returned to me by her father, minus the blanket, because she can't find it. Her reasoning for unplugging my camera is because she was uncomfortable with it pointing at her while she was trying to put my son to sleep. Which makes no sense, because it doesn't detect motion and follow a target. You have to manually angle it a certain way using the monitor or an app. Upon asking her why she wouldn't just angle it towards the crib, she said she didn't know how, which is yet another lie, because I watched the camera angle change when my son was napping, meaning she turned it towards him since I doubt my 5-year-old knows how to do that. We've decided to let her go, obviously, and I'm going to be taking a few weeks of leave to take my kids in for checkups, get them a proper caregiver, and overall spend time with them. My husband and I are horrified and heartbroken that we facilitated a situation in which our children's safety was put at risk. Not the a-hole. Holy crap! If she really wanted to help, she could pump milk and give it to you, like a normal person. Trying to nurse your son is way far over the line. Like, fire her, change your locks, and put up security cameras over the line. Not the a-hole. I would be pissed. You don't know if she has any health issues going on that she could pass on to your kid. She very much crossed the line. Does she even produce milk right now? Or was she just trying to breastfeed without even having anything to feed him? Quite honestly, I'm not even sure. She said she's been eating those cookies you can get for milk production, but I never thought to ask if she actually had milk to give him. No, not the a-hole. What the duck is wrong with y'all? Breastfeeding another person's baby without their consent is illegal and completely inappropriate. Plus, the fact that she doesn't have a baby and doesn't even lactate makes this situation even more bizarre. I wouldn't want someone like that watching my kids. Who knows what other dumb stuff she would do? I left my purse on an airplane almost 2 months ago, and I had it shipped to my parents' house in case it arrived before I did. When my mom got it in the mail, she sent me a picture of the inside, which included my wallet, keys, and phone charger. A week later, I went to pick it up from them, and the charger was missing out of my bag. I've been asking for it for nearly 2 months now, and have not gotten it back. Yesterday, I was in the area, so I stopped by after calling and seeing if I could come pick it up and use their restroom. She told me that my youngest brother was home alone, could let me in, but I was not allowed to get my charger. Well, obviously, I take a quick peek around, see the one I left, and I take it back home with me. What proceeded to happen felt so crazy. I get calls from both my mom and stepdad, my mom telling me she will never forgive me for this if I don't return it since they don't have enough, and my stepdad asking if I'm drunk or high because I must be on something for being so ridiculous and going into their house and stealing from them. He says I should have asked everyone in the family who took it and gotten it back from that person. The thing is, I already know that nobody would admit to taking it, so I didn't want to waste my breath and energy playing detective. My mom texted me a bit later, saying that my stepdad was in tears, that they need to take a break from me, and that she will go buy her own, but she is disappointed in me. I responded with, "I'm glad you're able to buy your own charger. I wasn't sure since you made such a big deal about me taking mine back." Her response was, "That's ridiculous that was your response. You have no care how much you have hurt, stepdad, nor myself. I'm embarrassed for your actions, but not surprised. I feel like I'm going crazy right now. It's my charger." My boyfriend and friends are saying that her whole text felt manipulative, and that they were using me as an outlet over their frustrations with another issue. My main problem is that my boyfriend shipped my 4-year anniversary present to their house, and it will be arriving in the next few days. My apartment has had packages stolen before, and I'd never had an issue with getting packages from my parents before, so I didn't think much of it at the time. I already know that if I ask them for it, they will use this charger issue as an excuse to hold on to my gift, and wait for an apology, and possibly for me to return my charger. I feel like I'm definitely not the a-hole, but the way they have reacted to this whole situation makes me feel like I'm going crazy. It's a charger. Go buy your own. Anyways, what should I do if they keep my package and refuse until I apologize and give back my charger? Update. So my package ended up arriving at my parents' house before I could get to it. I knew I would have to reach out and apologize and give them my charger if I wanted to get it. So I texted my mom basically just saying I was sorry for being apathetic and hurting them. My mom said I could come over to chat, and when I got there, we had a 10-minute convo where she pretty much apologized for saying she would never forgive me over this, and blamed it on being drunk and upset over a separate issue with my brother. She also stood pretty firm on saying that this was a bigger issue of trust, and that I shouldn't have come in and stolen a charger. I basically said that the bigger issue for me was that they stole out of my bag, and I can't trust them with my belongings anymore, but that we can just agree to disagree and move on. I did end up just giving her the charger because I was over this whole stupid thing. Eventually, she got around to asking, "Is there another reason you're here?" I said, "Yep," and she went to get my package that she had hid and was clearly holding hostage. When I was leaving, she got really teary-eyed and quiet, and I asked why she was crying. And she goes, "I just know that you only came here and apologized so you could get your package, and now you're going to tell all your friends how crazy I am." I didn't really respond to that, and just told her I would see her later. So, yeah, final update is basically that I got the package, and they get to keep my charger. But whatever, I'm just glad to be done with this. Good lord, they sound exhausting. And also, they stole your property. Not the a-hole. If they hold your present hostage, buy them a charger, and tell them it looks like they could have had your staying in touch with them, or $12.99, or however much it is. Then go low contact with them, and arrange for your packages to be sent to another location going forward. Not the a-hole, but here's a piece of advice. Go buy a new charger for yourself and return the other charger. No, you shouldn't have to do it. Yes, they are completely in the wrong. That being said, putting the charger back is the shortest route to a place where you get your anniversary present. After that, tell them to keep the damn charger and take your own break from them, maybe permanently. The money you spend for a new charger will be the best investment you've made in a while. For just a few dollars, you can never hear about this absolutely ludicrous issue ever again. Your stepdad cried over this? I recommend therapy. The background issue is this. My fiance's sister had an affair with a married man from her work. She gave him chlamydia, and he gave it to his wife. My fiance's sister got it treated, but she didn't tell him, and he gave it to his wife, and she ended up in the hospital. My fiance's sister is also pregnant from the affair. The married man's wife is divorcing him. She is suing my fiance's sister for something called alienating affections because she had an affair with a man she knew was married. In our state, it is a crime to give your partner an STI and not tell them. The married guy's wife made a statement to police. Also, fiance's sister was suspended from her job because she was an assistant manager and the married guy was her employee, and that's against their policy, and there are also harassment issues at play. I know all of this because of what my fiance told me, and also because to save money for the wedding and a house, we are living in the basement apartment unit of her parents' home. So, a police officer, a private detective hired by the lawyer for the lawsuit, and someone from her workplace have come here at different times looking for her. She was dodging getting the lawsuit papers and giving a statement to the police. She was telling everyone she went to stay with her parents, but she wasn't really. Way after the visits from them had happened, I heard my fiance on the phone with her sister. I heard where she was, not in this city anymore. I called the private detective and notified the police. My fiance is angry at me for giving up her sister's whereabouts. She also told me her parents are being looked at for lying to the police about knowing her sister's location and giving her monetary support. I have no idea about what her parents told the police. I only know they wanted to talk to her. I don't think I'm the a-hole for telling the police and private detective where she was staying. She's an adult, and this entire situation is of her own making. My fiance and her parents and sister, by extension, are angry at me and think I am the bad guy here. They also blame me for putting stress on her while being pregnant. Holy crap! What a dumpster fire! They're mad at you because you're the only one who is telling the truth. I think you should take a serious look at the family you're about to marry into. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. She gave an STD to someone and should be punished for it. This is the consequence of her decision. Also, take note how your fiancé deals with this. Her views on infidelity is somewhat concerning. Everyone sucks here. Her situation makes her 100% the a-hole. But it is also neither our or your business to decide what happens with that. Going out of your way to listen into private phone conversations so you can turn around and turn her in, full well knowing your fiancé and their family were hiding her. I personally don't agree with their approach, but it's their family. You have now created a lot of problems for a relationship between you and them. I hope you're prepared for that. Your in-laws are certainly questionable, and your fiancé's treatment of infidelity, so I would consider that before moving forward.